In the last episode, I built a huge crate mod iron mill in order to supply me with infinite iron, but it's missing something kind of important. The iron farm is not here. So that's what I'm going to be building today. Also, since the farm is mostly my design, I thought I'd make a bit of a tutorial out of this in case you want to build it yourself. Right now, what you're seeing on screen is the material list for the farm. It makes about 2,000 iron ingots per hour and needs a minimum of 24,000 stress units to operate. I achieved this by using 12 boilers heated for free with campfires, but the tutorial will focus less on power generation because there's lots of better ways to do it with active boilers. And yes, it is one of those farms where you wash gravel with fans to get iron nuggets. There's a slight problem. There's always a slight problem. Most of the stuff I need takes iron, which I have very little of right now, hence the iron farm. This is now going to be my designated boiler room. So this is how you build these free boilers. You connect steam engines to these, and you have to do pumps with water. That's going to be the annoying part, and I only made half as many of these as I require. I will be back. Okay, I got the stuff that I was missing. Let me make sure I do this the right way. So, steam engine off of all these, and this is a shaft that they are going to go off of right here. Now let me just go ahead and build another row of 6 on the other side. Not gonna lie, that actually looks pretty sick. The only slightly complicated part of this is the pump systems to put water in. Right now I just have 3 pumps on each side, with each pump supplying 2 of the boilers. Literally all that it is just 2 pipes, and then at ground level, at the campfire level, you have a pump and it's facing upward, and it's in the middle of a 1x3 water source block. Then obviously you're gonna need to have all of them receive power, which I just used some gearboxes for and some encased shafts with the little cogwheels. It's pretty simple. There's lots of ways you can do this. Since all of the pumps are powered by the steam engines, you have to jumpstart one of the steam engines to get the rest of the pumps going. The way you do this is just by building a little water wheel or something like that, or using any other power to turn one of the pumps separately. I've got one steam engine up now, but I really need some engineer's goggles so I can read what's going on, so let me go make those real fast. So what's happening? Not enough water. Oh, it's not fast enough. One gear shift change drive thingy later and the speed is doubled, and all the pumps are turned on and the boilers are good to go. All of them are going to be self-powering and should never turn off. Somehow I don't think it's going to be that simple. So power generation part's done. That wasn't really the step-by-step tutorial part. We're about to get into that here. Essentially, I've got a generator that can make 24,000 stress units on one shaft, but it's in a completely separate building from where the farm's going to go. This is just because of the way I built it. You may or may not have it be separated. So the way that you connect your power output from whatever you're using to the farm may be a little bit different, but I will explain how I do it later. If you're just here for the tutorial part, you're going to want to skip ahead to the timestamp on the screen, because right now I actually got to make these mechanical crafters in order to make crushing wheels. I literally don't have crushing wheels yet and I can't even make them, and I need to set up some crushing wheels for myself to use before I go further with the farm. Connect the belt up here, and then I'm just going to run a shaft through this little opening passageway that I made between the 2 buildings. Nice. That will make all of this function. Anyways, I can go ahead and craft my crushing wheels. Uh-oh. It was just the wrong recipe. I had logs and not planks. No way, bro. I'm missing 1 andesite alloy. I'm 1 short. Sweet, I've got all 8 wheels. I'm going to take 2 of them now and make a manual use thing, mainly so I can crush the ton of raw iron I have saved up and get the iron ingots that I badly need. Here we go. Perfect, they're going the right way as well. Managed to get that right off of the same line. I just moved it over a little bit. So let me go ahead and stick this in here. Oh yeah, see? Look at, and I get all this experience, which I can do stuff with it. Well, I wouldn't have gotten the experience otherwise. So most of this iron is going to get turned straight into iron plates because I have to make so many item vaults. Okay, I've built the stuff that I needed over here. I've made the crushing wheels, which are somewhere around here. Here we go. Now it's time to start building. First thing you're going to want to do is make a seemingly unnecessarily large 3x9x3 item vault. This is going to hold cobblestone. Now we're going to stick 3 brass funnels, 1 in the middle and then 1 on either end. And then we're going to make 3 conveyor belts that are 4 blocks long. At the back here, we're going to have a shaft that runs all the way through. Add 3 more shafts, and then create your 3 belts here. Now we're going to take the crushing wheels, put a block here. It doesn't have to be casings, just whatever building block you want. However, I hear from reliable sources that people who do use casings as building blocks look something like this on average. And then put 6 crushing wheels like this, so that they're all basically facing the same direction. Just face that way when you do it. Before we go farther, you're going to want to set this here. You're going to want to right click it, hold it down, and then make sure it extracts only 64 at a time. Now you're going to want to take 6 encased chain drives, place one in the middle, and then place one to the right of it on each of these. Then get a shaft here, 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 and then connect that up with cogwheels. Now let me explain how I'm going to get power over here. And you may want to do it a different way depending on your setup, but if you want it to be the exact same way, then you're going to want to look at this diagram here, and in order to position a shaft in the air a little bit above and to the side of the machine, where all the power is going to come straight off vertically using conveyor belts. Essentially what you're going to want to do is take a rotational speed controller. By the way, facing this way, we're on the left side of this. You're going to want to place the speed controller right here. Start by reversing it so that it's spinning the opposite direction. So I actually am all done, but I made a mistake when I initially built this and I was connecting this up. So what you're going to want to do is take 2 vertical gearbox, place one like that so it's connecting that way, place one on top of it, that will power those belts, and then get rid of this shaft and replace it with a cogwheel, and then put a cogwheel here. And then put this speed all the way up on the top to 256. Then you're going to want to come up here and you're going to want to put another shaft on top of all of these. You could do it on these as well, just make sure it's all on the same one, and connect it up with conveyor belts so that they're all linked together. Now you're going to want to get a belt connected to this, and this might be different depending on where your power is, but for me it's vertically. Next up is you're going to want to put down your second gigantic 3x9x3 item vault, but you're going to want to make sure that it's a block higher than the previous one. You're going to also need to make sure you add some more brass funnels to the ends of those conveyor belts off the crushers, otherwise nothing's going to go in there. Place down a line of andesite funnels off of all of the bottom row, and while you're here, place one at the top of that row. Now just temporarily stick some blocks here. We're going to want to put a shaft that goes across all of this. Should be 9 blocks. So we're now going to make this belt 14 blocks long. 14 block long belt. Put a bunch of shafts over here, another 8 of them, and then fill in this entire area with belts. At the end, you're going to want to do the same thing. You're going to want to build the same item vault. It should be the last one. So here's your third and final item vault built at the end. You're going to want to put a lot of more andesite funnels here. Now place some building blocks along this side here, but make sure you leave this side. We're on the left side still. Make sure you leave this side open so that you can stick some chain drives, because we're going to need to power the belts. There's going to be another layer of belts up here that we'll put down momentarily. On the other side, you can also fill this in with blocks. Don't bother leaving any space for chain drives because we only need it on one side for the belts. Next, you want to get some fans, and you're going to want to have them set back 1 block, not directly on top of whatever you put here, but back by 1 block, and you're going to need to put 12 of them down in a row. Repeat this on the other side, and then we'll move on. Next up, you're going to want to take a bunch of signs and put them down in a big row in front of the fans, leaving 1 block gap. Once you have that, place a row of whatever building blocks you want on top of these fans on both sides. Once you've done that, go ahead and build another row of fans on top of the block you just put down. It occurred to me briefly to try to put a low IQ pun about fans in there, but then I decided against it because I don't want to lobotomize myself. You can build up these walls here if you haven't already. And then you're going to want to do another line of signs all the way down. Before we move on, we're going to finish everything here so that we don't have to mess around in here again, because it's going to be very difficult to do that once the belts are in. So at both ends here, you're going to want to bring this shaft, or a shaft, 9 blocks. This is just going to hold the second layer of conveyor belts that's equivalent to what we did at the bottom. Now when it's all done and it's done correctly, you should just have no gaps where water could flow out, because we're about to put water down right here in front of the fans. Both of the gaps in the top rows in front of those fans need to be filled with water so that it flows down in front of the bottom fans as well. Now let's go ahead and power those conveyor belts in there. So you're going to take another rotational speed controller. You may have to get rid of that. We're still on the left side, by the way. In order to place that down correctly, just stick that back there. Put the large cogwheel down and set this to the top level, and then set it to 72 RPM. And then you're going to want to connect this part down here to whatever your power source is. For me, it is the thing on the ceiling. If you come over here, you can see both of the lanes are powered. It's truly amazing. I've never seen anything like this before. And the only thing that's not powered are the fans, which is next up. This is probably the part where I trigger everyone by using way too many chain drives for this when you could just use belts and lots of shafts. But that's not entirely true because on my design you actually kind of need chain drives, and you'll see why in a sec. You can come over here, place one of these facing up and down, put a shaft here, and then place another one up and down, and now it's connected. Both of them are connected. So we're going to go to the other side and do the same thing. In order to power these things here easily, you're going to want to go to the top of both sides and place a vertical gearbox at either end, and then connect it with a shaft. So to do this, it's actually really easy. All you have to do is just put another encased chain drive here, and then behind it, put the rotational speed controller with the cogwheel, change the speed to 92, and then just get power out of one of the sides, in this case right here, because it goes straight up to that shaft. And now everything should be working just fine. One thing you may actually want to do is add a clutch to the input for the fans that you can turn on and off, in case you don't want the fans to be on all the time, because the amount of particles that creates can be a little bit laggy. Before we move on to the cobblestone production, come over to the right hand side, and you're going to want to put an encased chain drive up here. Oh no, that's not good. You're just going to want to ignore that. Everything's fine. You still only need 24,000 stress units. Moving on. So what you're going to do now that you have this chain drive up here is you're going to want to put the mechanical press over here. Then you're going to get rid of this block. If you even had a block there, put a vertical conveyor belt. This will give us the correct rotation. Then we're going to get another shaft over here. Connect this up. You should have a 5-block long conveyor belt. Stick the basin under, stick the basin under here. Just a block here. This is going to be the iron output, so however you want to do this, I'm just going to put it in a storage drawer. Then right here, put a funnel, put another funnel right here. And this one, you're going to want to make sure that it only extracts iron nuggets. Make sure it extracts 64 nuggets at one time. And then you're going to need to get rid of the flint as well. So you're going to want to have a smart chute, and you're going to need to set that to flint. Let me go find some flint. Okay, that's now filtering flint. Put that in there. There it goes. Perfect. And if I were to put this in here, there it goes. So now that's all that done, we're going to go do the final step, which is the cobblestone farm. So to start, you're going to want to have a row of 6 chutes. You're going to want to position it at the front of the cobblestone item vault, and you're going to want to have it be 1 block from the left-hand side and 5 blocks tall. So this is a modified design that I saw Tango Tech make and create a while back, where you don't have drills. If you're wondering how we're breaking the stone, we're actually going to be using a little mechanism moving back and forth that just breaks the block. I don't know if it's meant to be a feature or if it's a glitch, but it still works. And so you're going to want to put down a line of pumps here, 6 of them wide and then 8 long. Then once you have this, just fill the entire thing in so it's a solid floor of pumps. So then you're going to come down below here and connect literally all of this with pipes under all of the pumps. Now you're going to want to cover all the pumps with some kind of building block. I'm just using the brass casings because they look cool. Make sure it's a solid block though. So over to the side, you're going to place some more blocks like this. You probably want to make it a different type just so you can distinguish it. Now you're going to want to take some linear chassis, place them facing off of the back of this. So you're going to get a vertical shaft right here. Then you can put a sticky mechanical piston and make sure that the shaft is facing up there like that. Then you can get rid of that stuff. Then come down here and put a gear shift under the mechanical sticky piston. Then you're going to take a cogwheel and put it right off of that pump there. Then place an encased chain drive there. Then place an adjustable gear shift off of it. Put a lever there, turn it on. Put a vertical gearbox right here. And then come over to behind it and add a rotational speed controller. Then off of this cogwheel, place a vertical gearbox like that so that the shaft is coming out that way. Then you can put a large cogwheel there and then turn it down to 1 rotational speed, literally 1 RPM. That's all you need. Then for my situation, if you're building the same thing, the last thing you're going to do is just add 3 gears, small cogs or whatever, and then attach it vertically to that belt up there. Lastly, you need a piston extension pole, and you're going to want to put it off the back of that mechanical piston. Man, I don't know if I could sound any more dull and academic there, even if I tried. Now you're going to take some super glue, go over to the corner here, and then super glue this entire platform, and then add another super glue thing to that one little chassis that sticks out. At the back of the platform, on top of the linear chassis, you're going to want to build a 2-block tall wall, but don't super glue it to anything. We've already done all the super gluing we need to. Then on either side of the platform, with the 6 blocks of empty space in the middle, you're going to take 2 rows of chests, 2 blocks tall, and build it all the way down to the front of the platform. And then you're going to want to come over here, get some more building blocks. I'm just going to use glass because it looks nice. We're going to build a wall all the way around. Just go ahead and make it 3. Then come over here and put some water down, and you'll see that it goes straight to the edge of the chutes. Now let's add the lava. This part can be really simple. You can honestly put this wherever you want. Just take 1 extra pipe. We're right next to the rotational speed controller. Then just build a little holding area right here. Add a lava bucket and then just seal it in. It's not going to go anywhere. That's literally all you need to do. All of these will start pulling it upward, and it's going to try to stick the lava into those blocks, but it can't right now. So check this out. Boosh. That is how you get cobblestone. I'm noticing that there's cobblestone getting stuck at that corner right there. So a way that we can stop that is by getting rid of some of these blocks right here, and now it will flow down there. If you really wanted, you could even do this to be extra safe. It might as well. I have extra chutes. Last thing to make this operational before we add any optional improvements is going to be a very simple redstone clock. Come up to where the gear shift is and stick a solid block off of the edge of it. It actually has to be a solid block this time. And then build a little platform, a 2x3 platform down here. Put a redstone torch off of that. Add a repeater here. Make it all the way 4 ticks. And then set this to 2 ticks. Put a lever right here. Then connect that with redstone, and if you flip that lever, it is going to oscillate back and forth, and behold, you have infinite cobblestone with no actual power input other than what that piston's taking. Well, it's been a little while, and now that everything's running smoothly, I've got 1500 iron in here. It's time for some optional upgrades, which you may want to do or you may not. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a display board and connect it to the cobblestone, gravel, and iron storage so that I can see how much stuff I have at any given time. The way I'm going to do this is put down a smart observer observing this item vault here for cobblestone, have it display on line 1, and if you've linked it with a display link, then it will just auto update on the board. I'm going to do this for the gravel as well on line 2, then the iron on line 3. The iron is going to be well connected with a display link to the storage drawer, which seems to work just fine as well. So now I have a real-time updating sign that tells me how much stuff I have. The final thing to do is add a smart on-off switch for this thing, because you might notice it's kind of laggy. It's not great. So I'm going to take a threshold switch and measure the item vault. Once it becomes 95% full, it will continue to emit a redstone signal until it reaches 25% full. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a redstone link, and I'm going to put brown wool on the red slot. This is going to create the channel. Next step is to come up here to where the lever is on the redstone timer and get rid of that and put a redstone link there instead. Switch it to the receiver mode, then stick the brown wool or whatever you use to create the channel. Just make sure it's the same channel as the cobblestone item vault measurer. And so basically, when that thing becomes 95% full, it's going to send a redstone signal up here, which will cut off the clock, and it will stop the cobblestone from working, and it won't restart until it reaches 25% cobblestone in the item vault. Next, I'm going to go over to the power input for the big lines of belts, and I'm going to add a clutch that wasn't there before and reconnect this up to the power. And what this is going to do is I'm going to have a redstone link on this clutch that's going to be connected to something measuring the iron storage. So basically what I want this to do is when the iron gets completely filled up, it will turn off those belts. I'm going to add another link over at the other clutch which controls the fans. It's going to be the same channel, so that basically when there's no more room for iron, when the iron's completely full, it will turn off the washing fan section so that it saves me the lag of all that stuff running and all those particles. By the end of the video, we may actually see this thing turn off on its own, which would be perfect. I think the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and decorate a little bit of this. There's still a bit more I want to do. Need to add some catwalks, maybe some better lighting. It looks like after an hour of running, the thing got about 2,000 iron ingots, slightly more than that. You'll also notice that the farm up here shut off because this thing reached the full mark and currently it is nowhere near 95% full, but it's actually going back down toward 5% full, at which point it will turn on again. I actually assume we will be able to see this quite soon. I also got those catwalks done that I was wanting to add in various places around here. I really like the way this works. It even goes on the stairs, it joins together super well, so you can come up here and walk through both of the buildings if you want. I've even built the train tracks here because I set up a little system to automate tracks based off what some of you guys were saying in the comments. You were saying that I can actually do it on belts instead, and I don't have to have like filters and all that stuff that I was trying to do a couple videos ago, which was terrible. And so I made this temporary setup right here, which does it all on basically one conveyor belt. Oh, there it goes. See? Glad we got to see that before the end of the video. But that is going to do it for today, guys. Let me know down in the comments if there's any improvements you think I could do to this farm or to the delivery. I'll definitely take a look. Next time, I'm probably going to work on making an experience farm, so I don't have to worry about my tools and all that stuff. Anyways, thanks for watching. Don't forget to drop a like and hit that subscribe button down below if you enjoyed. Hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time.